This is the Revere City Council, February 3rd meeting, 2014. All rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Rigo is absent. Councilor Janino? Here. Councilor Guanasso?
Here.
Here. Councilor Haas? Here. Councilor Morabito? Here. Councilor Novoselsky is absent. Councilor Patch is absent. Councilor Penta is absent. Councilor Powers?
Here.
Here. Councilor Reardon?
Here.
Here. And Council President Zambuto?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. Approval of the journal of the meeting held on January 27th, 2014.
Any changes to the journal? All in favor, all opposed? So voted.
Calendar item number 1, Mohegan Sun will conduct its presentation that was made to the Massachusetts Gaming Commission.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Commission, my name is Kevin Brown, and as the chairman of the Mohegan Tribal Council and the Mohegan Gaming Authority, I speak for our entire team when I say it's a distinct honor to be here to present our project proposal to you and to thank you for your diligence in this effort, particularly over what has become a challenging couple of months for all of us. Today I'm joined by a number of our tribal council members and tribal elders who are in the audience, and they come really to bring a couple of messages. One, to reinforce those thanks for the measured approach that you've put into this entire process, but also to reinforce something that we've been saying pretty regularly, and that is that we are the home team. You know, as a kid, I went to my first ball game at Fenway Park on Carl Yastrzemski's birthday and sat in the right field bleachers at Fenway Park for my first professional game. Went to the Garden, where I sat behind a cement pylon where I actually had to lean to be able to see the court in the old Garden. I went to my first pro football game in Schaefer Stadium, sat on the cold bleacher seats. The point of all that is, this marriage of Mohegan Sun, Massachusetts with Revere, it isn't like it feels like home, it is home. This is where we're from. In our presentation today, you're going to hear from a number of folks, the hardworking, straight-talking, and diligent individuals who've helped make Mohegan Sun a world-renowned and respected brand. But they're just a few of the folks that really bring all of that home to us. It's a team of teams, and as you can see, and as you've watched develop, we've merged an incredible team of teams, not the least of which is the team that comes with the population of Revere represented right here in this room. We're extremely excited. They spark a pride and an excitement in us about the possibilities that we can take this historic New England resort town and take it into a brighter future.
When a city like Revere becomes a destination for people the world over, it's a remarkable achievement. For Revere, it began in 1896 with the opening of America's first public beach. And then in the early 1900s, Wonderland Amusement Park brought more excitement to the area. The opening of Suffolk Downs to an overflow crowd of 35,000 in 1935 was the crowning moment. Suffolk Downs is where both the commoners and celebrities came to play. It's where the legendary Seabiscuit was discovered, and where the Beatles performed live in the infield in 1966. Just 5 miles from downtown Boston, Suffolk Downs was the right project, in the right location, at the right time. In just 62 days, A.G. Tomasello & Son transformed 200 acres of mudflats into a landmark achievement. A $2 million effort that employed over 3,000 workers, just as the nation and the region were struggling to break the grip of the Great Depression. It's time to be remarkable again. Now, nearly 80 years later, Mohegan Sun is poised to write the next great chapter in Revere's history. A chapter that will do more than simply revive the gaming and entertainment heritage of Revere. Something much more than make Revere a great place to play again. We're proposing the creation of a world-class resort that will transform this proud and storied city into an amazing new international destination that will pump new vitality into local businesses and bring new business and employment opportunities to the region, and provide substantial new revenues for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. For Revere, once again, the right time has come. And what we're about to present is the right project in the right location.
Thank you, Chairman Crosby, Commissioners. It's great to be here again, to see you all again. My name is Mitchell Edison, and I have the good fortune to be the Chief Executive Officer of the Mohegan Tribal Gaming Authority. It's such an exciting day. It's amazing, and we're thrilled to be here, to have this opportunity to share our vision, our values, and our detailed plans of how we're going to build a remarkable resort and operate it just about 10 minutes from here on the historic grounds of Suffolk Downs. As you know, more than anybody, the last 2 months have been a complete whirlwind for us. And the more time I spend with this project, and the more we're involved with, the more we meet with people in Revere, the more excited we get. We believe in the next 90 minutes, we're going to prove to you that we are without a doubt your best choice to be the licensee for Region A. Why? Well, we think we bring a very unique combination to the table. Yes, we're a nationally and internationally recognized gaming brand. We operate in multiple jurisdictions. We opened the first casino in Pennsylvania under their gaming law. We operate the busiest arena of its size in the world, the Mohegan Sun Arena. But we're also a local company. We have old-fashioned New England know-how and New England values. We're hardworking and down to earth. We follow a strict code of ethics with values that harken back to the tribe's heritage. We're already part of this community and have been for years. These are very important points. But the fact is, we have amassed an amazing team of local talent for this project. Let me introduce to you some of the folks that are going to be sharing our plans with you today. You've already met our chairman, Kevin Brown. Here we have Gene Cohn and Hugh Trumbull of our world-renowned architects, Cohn, Pedersen, and Fox, who built Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. We've got Todd Fenard, the CEO of Fenard Properties. Bethany Seidel, who's the Vice President of Marketing and Promotions at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, who's going to help me talk about some of our marketing plans. And Kyle Lubach, who is the Chief Human Resources Officer for the Authority. But we believe our team extends beyond these folks and the folks behind them. Our team reaches into every aspect of the community, and a lot of them are here today. We've got Mayor Rizzo and members of the City Council who've been so amazingly supportive of this project and are anticipating the transformation that it will bring to Revere. Joe Spalding's here today. He's the President and CEO of City Center Performing Arts. He's our local entertainment partner. Of course, you've got the team from Suffolk Downs of Richard Fields, Joe O'Donnell, Chip Tuttle, and Charlie Baker. But our team extends beyond that. To name a few, municipal leaders from not only Revere, but the entire North Shore. Tourism agencies from Boston to Salem and everywhere in between. Members of organized labor, including the Greater Boston Labor Council and the Building Construction Trades Council of the metropolitan area. More than 100 local businesses, numerous chambers of commerces, and of course the entire Suffolk Downs family, whose jobs will be preserved if we get this license. Our whole team is here and they can be recognized. We will bring New England know-how to this project. We assembled a team of professionals who share our values and approach. We've worked incredibly, nonstop, for the last 2.5 months to design our project. We're able to submit our RFA2 application flawlessly. This group knows how to work together, and they've already shown they can get things done. Combined, this team has over a century of experience bringing projects like this one right here to life. Each brings deep expertise in their area, or have a track record of active involvement in their community and our commitment to doing the right thing. But rather than me go on, we prepared this brief video of introduction.
We've got a phenomenal team assembled of all folks with experience here in New England in providing the New England customer base the kind of an experience that they expect. And then we're teaming with the folks at Suffolk Downs who had the experience of running that phenomenal racetrack. Then you add to it the fact that we have folks like the New England Development Team and Fenard that can help ensure that what we develop on those grounds is to the highest architectural standards.
We want to get the best of breed of each individual discipline. We want to find people that are culturally aligned with us from a business standpoint. We want people who have the same values as we do, who care about the customer the same way we do. First and foremost is our architects, Cohn, Pedersen, and Fox. World-class architects have done iconic buildings all over the world. And most importantly, very familiar with the Mohegan Sun culture and the Mohegan Sun method of operations by the fact that they have built Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. And they know the importance of bringing the best of the region out to build something that's going to be a complement to the area, a complement to the vision, a complement to the ocean that's so nearby.
Client's the key. One, you want to be a good architect, but if you share with your client the same values, what you're trying to achieve, it makes it a lot easier to achieve it. And in the case of Mohegan, we don't have to battle them to do something that we think is right. And so we've had a great business relationship and a great friendship.
And friendship comes because they care about doing the right thing. We approach every project with trying to be sensitive to where we're building so that it feels like it belongs, but it adds to it, maybe hopefully improves it. And there's no question in my mind that we do a better job in Boston, New York, Philadelphia, where we work a lot, than other architects would coming from far away.
Fenard is great from the standpoint that they're a regional company as we are from the Northeast. They're a multi-generational company, and we are a big family business. Fenard has those same kind of family values. The Fenard Group is involved in two aspects of the project. One is they're co-developing on the retail front with New England Development. And also, they will be the owner and operator of the third-party hotel, a branded hotel on the property.
This is extremely personal for me. It's starting with an area that I spent time in as a child. All of us feel extremely fortunate to be part of a group that cares so much about what they're doing and wants to see excellence in every aspect of this plan. We're passionate about all those things which make us uniquely New England, and if we can positively impact the community through what it is we do, that's as good as it gets for us.
There was this comfort level, in part, I think, because we could sort of speak the same language, and so there's this fit, cultural fit between their team and our team, really the entire team, and I think that's why we hit it off right away. The Karp family and the Fenard family have known each other for a very long time. I grew up 8 houses away from them on the same street. So to be collaborating with them, along with Mohegan Sun and KPF and this entire team, decades later, is a wonderful thing.
New England Development is one of the largest retail developers in the country. And I think when you talk about people who are powerful and have the input and the juice in the retail business, you think New England Development. They have a long history of many, many successful projects throughout the entire country, and particularly New England.
This is pretty much a New England team that's been put together, and most of them are Boston teams, and most of the consultants we're working with, we've worked with in the past. It's not new to us. Some of them may be new to Mohegan, some of their consultants may be new to us, but I think there's great camaraderie, and I think it's a great working team.
We have the strongest financial partner there is in Brigade Asset Management. Brigade is a $15 billion investment fund. They were a long-term investor in Mohegan. They are aligned with us culturally, they're aligned with us professionally, and they give us the best financial platform of any applicant for any casino in the Commonwealth.
Well, we like the way they think about gaming, how you build the project. But first and foremost, and it's much like our business, you like the ethics of the people. Because if you don't have ethics, and you don't have that type of approach, you have nothing.
We're looking at our relationship with the Suffolk Downs as a true partnership. We're leasing the land of which our project will be on from them. But Suffolk Downs has such a long history. There's generations and generations of workers in the greater Revere area who have all worked at Suffolk Downs.
We have the best location. This location is unparalleled for gaming development in the Commonwealth, and this Boston area market, which already attracts millions and millions of visitors every year, and the fact that we've been able to partner with Mohegan Sun is amazing. They really set a tone that we've been able to see in the short time working together with them. The tone they set is great because they're really focused on success. They're focused on their vision to create a welcoming but world-class destination and to create an experience that people find truly entertaining. And so we've always wanted to have a development here that fits for this community.
One of the benefits you have with this team is that we're used to working together. When you take that and you combine it with this site, which is very flat, very easy to build on, we'll be able to get this site built as quickly as possible, get it up and running as quickly as possible, and driving revenue to the Commonwealth as quickly as possible.
When you've lived in a place all of your life, you have a connection to it that is really in every area of your life. It's where you work, it's where you live, it's where your friends are, it's where you've grown up. To have the opportunity, maybe in some small way, to make a great community even a little better is an amazing experience for me. And it's really what you hope for. It is a tremendous opportunity for us to contribute to the community in a way that we end up feeling we're the most fortunate ones for the experience.
It's truly an awesome team, but really, our team's experience and expertise is nothing compared to the location of our site. Our property is not only the center of New England, it's the center of the entire world. Our site-specific location allows us to drive the most gaming revenue, and therefore, the most tax revenue, and that's what's important here. At the center of all this is Revere. We're really excited to work with the people of Revere to make their city even more compelling than it was back in its heyday. We're going to customize from the ground up, like you see here, an amazing experience for an audience of international tourists, out-of-state visitors, residents of Massachusetts, and Bostonians of all income levels, and still have almost half of our land available for green space. Revere's got a warm, hospitable, and inclusive hometown feel, and a history of tourism and gaming that provides the ideal setting to top off the experience. We've got beachfront views, easy accessibility, that history of tourism that dates back to being America's first public beach. We're at the center of an unprecedented array of transportation options, which is really incredible. Our location's great, and it's easy to get to. And having a property that's easy to get to is critical to create and sustain gaming revenue. Our location offers multimodal transportation, which is a huge asset. You can drive right in because our location is accessible from two major highways, the Pike and 93. And 95, that provides access from everywhere. Like my mother could get on the highway in Florida and drive up here. Probably not advisable. But anyone can get here via 95. Route 1 adds convenience, and Route 1A brings you right to our doorstep. That's really just the beginning. Public transportation that's available to our site, I think it's unprecedented in our industry. The T-line, the blue T-line brings you right to our property, to one of our two main entrances that we've created, one specifically just for the T. 4 bus lines also come right to the property. But you know, we are also the gateway to the world. Revere is located just miles from Logan Airport, as you know. A free shuttle operates from Logan to the Blue Line, so visitors won't even have to get on the highway to come over to our property. With Mohegan Sun, Massachusetts, and Revere, people are going to welcome that layover, and they might not even mind that misconnection. Plus, Logan provides super easy access for national and international travelers and gamers alike. Now let's take a step back and look at the market as a whole. It's a great market. That's why we're so interested in this, and everybody is. That's why the Commonwealth is doing this. More than 20 million people a year visit the Commonwealth, and 9.5 million people live within 2 hours of our site. And there's no doubt Mohegan Sun, Massachusetts will extend people's stay in the Boston area and create even more visits to the Commonwealth. And Boston, of course, can be reached by air from all over the United States. And our design team, you're going to meet in a few moments, is creating an international tourist destination. It's going to capitalize on our location next to Logan. You know, we're great at regional marketing. We've got an already existing database that we're going to tell you more about. But we also have that international reach. As operators, we're going to be successful in marketing not only to the regional and Northeast market, but to national and international markets as well. So you've heard a little bit about our site and our team. Let's talk a little bit more about this project that's incredible right over here. As a company, we don't believe in cookie-cutter projects. We didn't build a Mohegan Sun, per se, in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. We didn't recreate resorts in Atlantic City into a Mohegan Sun property. We think it's better to create something that works for your site, for your individual market. A destination that's appropriate, that belongs in its surroundings. Our design team has created a property that's going to allow us to leverage our knowledge of the region, yet create something that will be appealing to guests from all over. It'll be a dynamic property, interactive with the community, and it's going to create that wow experience that you've all been talking about and looking for since this process began. And when you combine the environment and the amenities that we're going to create, and you're going to hear about, with the one-of-a-kind hospitality that we're famous for, you get an unparalleled combination for success. Look, we know if this market works. We have 17 years of experience in New England destination casino and that know-how. We have that database of millions of customers in the Northeast market. We already get 20,000 New England visitors a day to our property in Connecticut. After 17 years, the Northeast knows what Mohegan Sun is. They know what to expect, and they're going to seek out Mohegan Sun, driving more revenue for the Commonwealth. We're going to bring gaming and non-gaming amenities together to create a very unique experience It's going to be an amazing, inspirational escape for all. And to tell you a little bit about that is our world-renowned architect, Gene Cohn, of Cohn, Pedersen, and Fox. Gene?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here. Cohn Pedersen Fox is a global firm. We work in 26 countries currently. But I must say I personally most enjoy being back east, and particularly in New York and New England. I have been teaching at Harvard, both the business school and the graduate school of design for the last 8 or 10 years, and I'm doing it again this year. So I'd love to be involved with the project in Revere as well as being up at Harvard. So I'm in Boston a great deal. The challenge of designing a major resort in Revere is an exciting one, and one that required, I think, a very special approach. You know, normally when one thinks about gambling or gaming, one thinks about Las Vegas first, maybe, and then maybe other places, but certainly Vegas. And one thinks about large slabs of buildings, towers, sitting on bases with the casino, restaurants, etc., surrounded by cars. Maybe there's a fountain or some other feature on the street, but basically that's the way Vegas developed, and frankly we have done a major project there, so we do lots of towers around the world. But it seemed to us that that approach for here was totally not correct. Revere, which was, I believe, settled in 1630, has remained a city of, it wasn't a city then maybe, but a city with basically low scale and more residential. And so to design a building that's going to fit that environment was really our challenge. And we approached it on the basis of horizontal. But we were influenced by, one, the view from our side of the beach and the morning sunrise, by that beach when it's more active during the day, by Suffolk Downs, the great horizontal space and a very exciting racetrack. And of course, all the qualities and the history of Revere were part of that design. So that led us to then trying to do a scheme, as I said, that's strictly horizontal. Now, when you think about horizontal buildings, you can create spaces within for people. So the building helps to form the space, whereas again with a tower, and we've done many, they sit in a space. So we felt for Revere and for this scale that approach was going to be key. And the structures of the hotels that are above the base, which contains primarily the gaming and restaurants and shopping, the spa, etc., are not very tall, as you can see, 6, 7, 8 floors max, but very strong in their horizontal direction. In looking at a diagram of the plan, it's a very well knit together plan that allows you to enjoy one if you're in the casino or in the restaurants along at the face of the casino, if you're in the hotel above. The view of maybe races from May to November at Suffolk Downs would be very exciting to have a lunch and to watch that. Or even just to enjoy the beauty of the green when it's not being used or when maybe the horses are practicing. So that red indicates basically that group of, as you'll see in later more detail, the casino and other elements related to it. The brown is the retail, restaurants, other facilities that people can enjoy. And then eventually there's a great spa and meeting rooms, etc. All knit together, forming a very exciting place. Next. Now, there are some great buildings in history or spaces, and I've enjoyed them personally. The Great Crescent in Bath, England, to the upper left, is a great space. It's crescent-shaped and would receive, for example, the racetrack, which you see on the lower right. The Piazza Navona in Italy, most exciting space for people, even cars at that point. But these shaped spaces that end in a crescent are really exciting. And then for our entrance, Lucca has a marvelous kind of circular space formed by buildings of modest height. All these are good examples for the kind of concept of the building. Next one. And so you see a model here, an earlier model, a more finished model there, which shows how the crescent shape of the casino receives the racetrack, how great green space comes off it, how the entrance, which is also circular, works off that green space to the upper left. And then the lovely base, and you'll see that viewing out toward the beach and the sea, all working together in a very exciting space. Next. The umbrella is kind of, I was in Italy just a week or two ago in Florence, just at the end of the holidays, and all the streets were
Excuse me,
filled
Mr.
with
Cohn,
umbrellas. Yeah.
could I just interrupt one sec? I just got a text from somebody who's watching online, and they're saying they're not able to hear very well. So I don't know whether this will make a difference, but we do want to make sure that our audience that's watching on the web can hear, see, and hear. So just be careful to speak clearly right into the mic, and also maybe our technical people can make sure that we're transmitting as well as possible.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Well, getting back to the umbrella, I was in Italy this end of the holidays in Florence, and the streets were lined with these lovely umbrellas hanging down, creating a very exciting kind of environment. And when you see the beaches, you see these great umbrellas, always kind of signifying sun instead of rain, joy. So that has become kind of a theme for us because of our location near the beach. Next. And then finally, the umbrella becomes part of the architecture. The grand entrance with these tremendous umbrellas in concrete, very beautiful forms that will attract you and bring you into this marvelous space. So for me, whether you come from Revere, whether you're from Boston or New Hampshire, New York, Chicago, or as far away as Shanghai, whether you come for lunch, to meet a friend for dinner, whether you come to game, whether you come for one day and one night, or whether you come for a weekend, I honestly believe this resort will provide the excitement and joy of a holiday each time you're there, for no matter how long. So to look at further details, I'm going to introduce my partner, Hugh Trumbull, who will go through that. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene. Hey, Hugh, I'd like to speak to you a little bit more about the elevations, the plans, and the massing that really reinforce the thoughts that Gene has just presented to you. First up is...
Be sure to use the mic, Mr. Trumbull.
Excuse me. First up is to look at the overall elevation along Winthrop Avenue. As Gene had spoke of, we were very keen to really emphasize the horizontal, keeping the buildings low, 2 hotels, one facing out towards the racetrack that you have here, the smaller one towards the beach at Revere. They really sit on top of the podium, this horizontal datum, and talk to one another and create a place, an environment where people gather and enjoy activity. Along that horizontal is really this new invention of this umbrella canopy that runs through the whole project. It brings the scale down and makes it quite intimate to the local environment. Below that canopy is a wonderful limestone base and a fieldstone below that snuggles into the landscape. We're building up with berms and green to really bolster Winthrop Avenue and to make it a real boulevard. Next slide, please. The slide that you see before you is really a very simple diagram to explain how the component parts come together. Rendered in orange is the casino hotel and the casino itself that face back towards the Suffolk down racetrack. To the top of the page is the boutique hotel with its associated meeting and spa spaces that look back over towards the environment of the beach. Center stage is a retail spine flanked by that umbrella that we talked about that links the entrance from the T and the bus station at one end at Beachmont and runs right through the complex to the great porte cochere space that occupies this really wonderful room at the center of the environment. One of the things that's not rendered on the page in color is really the parking, which sits below. It's a 3-story parking garage, completely hidden from view and surrounded by landscape. Along this spine here, we have a wetlands reserve, which is Sales Creek. And what we've done is we've split the earth, we've lifted it up, and defined a new ground plane for the casino. This allows Sales Creek to really slide right through and flow completely freely through the site. That is really the first step to our sustainable program, one which we're looking to achieve LEED Gold, or even better. Next slide, please. I'd like to just look at the plan for a moment and to look at the fact that what we have on the plan is a site that's 50% green.
And the figure of the building is really not one which is an object, but one that deflects and makes spaces and makes rooms. That's very important to us because what it really does is it engages the environment and engages the principal assets of the Revere and the local town. As Gina talked about, the casino here is this fan-shaped room that looks back to the field of the racetrack. To the top of the page is a promenade of retail that runs along this also shallow concave space that is making the room for Winthrop Avenue. And lastly, there's this great porte cochere, which really takes the entry garden and pulls it up and really makes it part of the interior experience. Lastly, at the top of the page is this wonderful little pavilion that reaches out to the beach as one comes off of the train station here, or arrives by bus, or walks from the beach. Next slide, please. What I'd like to do is take you on a quick little tour of the series of renderings that take you around the building, first from Beachmont Station all the way around to the porte cochere. What we're really excited about is this pavilion. It's very exciting. It really brings you in. One of the other things that it does is it describes and makes a plaza in the foreground. That plaza receives people, pedestrians coming from the T, coming from the bus station, and starts the garden that leads to Winthrop Avenue. At the end of the axis, you see the boutique hotel, small in scale. Next slide, please. Coming to the other end of that intersection, the boutique hotel gravitates and anchors the corner. The big sweep of the facade pulls back and is really reminiscent of something appropriate to a coastal sea town. Beautiful garden that one can stroll down Winthrop Avenue, move in through the garden, and really feel comfortable. It's an amazing transformation of what Winthrop Avenue is today. Very, very unique. The canopy reaches back over to the beach. And we go to the next slide, please. Welcome to Mohegan Sun. This is the wonderful garden that brings you up to the porte cochere. To the right is the casino hotel. To the left is the spa hotel. Arriving underneath these wonderful umbrellas, we go to the next slide. Here we are in the porte cochere. It's a wonderful room. It's absolutely spectacular. Canopies are free to define the room above. Limestone base surrounds the room, and a garden occupies the center stage. To the right is the entry to the casino hotel and to the casino itself. To the left is the entry to the spa hotel and to the meeting rooms, both entries leading to this wonderful retail spine that we showed you. We can proceed to the next. A landscape roof deck. Wow, this is really intense. Behind us, we have this boutique hotel that looks out over the garden, and you have to the left is a greenhouse that is part of our farm-to-table restaurant program, and a path that leads over to the casino hotel. And if you look closely, you can see the skyline of Boston in the distance. And next. Now we've moved to the interior. This is a beginning study, but what we see here is a dynamic mix between the umbrellas that come down from above, the garden that's in the foreground, the bars, the restaurants, the gaming, all coming together to create a synergistic environment. And to talk to you more about that, Todd Fennard.
Thank you, Hugh. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Todd Fennard, and I am the CEO of Fennard Properties. 18 years after Suffolk Downs opened its doors, my grandfather bought a small factory in Waltham. And with that factory, he began our family's real estate development company. 61 years subsequent to that opening, we got to be involved in a lot of fascinating projects throughout New England and beyond. But unequivocally, this is the most thrilling and transformative thing we've ever worked on before. This is absolutely stupendous. And Our job within this incredible team is to add those elements, infuse the project with the elements that turn this from a casino and a gaming project into a full-fledged resort experience. We get to do all the fun stuff. We get to do things like the retail offerings, the culinary specialties, the hospitality and entertainment spaces. Our team's sole focus has been working to sort of pull this whole program together so that this place becomes a perfect destination for everything. Girls' night out, your uncle's 60th birthday party, everything in between. Fundamentally, okay, we get it. This is it's gaming. And there's nothing like the rush of a gaming floor. You've got 4,000 slot machines, 100 table games, 20 poker tables. It's in and of itself, that's exciting. But all of the ancillary energy, the fun stuff, okay, that's our focus. Everything we program into the retail, the hospitality, and the entertainment is going to need to be extraordinary if we hope to host all these new special moments at Suffolk Downs like they hosted in the past. I love how Bob Newmeyer put it in the video. What we do here will make Revere remarkable again. There's no room for cookie cutter. Mitchell said it wonderfully. Every element has to be considered. So I'll start by talking about the dining. I hope you had lunch before, because I'm about to make you hungry. Think about all of the incredible talent that hails from this part of the world, from Massachusetts and the surrounding region. This is kind of how we break it down, how we look at it. I don't know, I hope you've had in the past like Ken Oranger's tacos at La Verdad, or Barbara Lynch makes this sweet potato brioche at number 9 Park that's just ridiculous. Ming-Tsai's butterfish at Blue Ginger. These things are coming from our area. We love these things. These are incredible things, and our main focus is to infuse these within this project. If you're a foodie, this is a wonderful place to be from, but what we will embark upon is infusing this project with that Massachusetts spirit and put it on display in a very real way. Given that the casino is going to cater to the slots player all the way up to the high stakes player, the food's going to have to reflect this as well. So the hamburger that you grab and go is going to have to be just as good, just as special as that locally sourced seafood and sushi. These are the kinds of things that we get to wake up in the middle of the night thinking about. So move from food to shopping. We can talk about the 150,000 square feet of world-class shops. I mean, you see the renderings. This is not a mall. It's not a shopping center. This is an experience. Notable big brands are going to bring people in and sort of set the tone for the fashion. And then the specialty shops are going to infuse this with all that local and regional flavor. They're going to give it the soul that we talk about. And based upon our preliminary conversations, I'll tell you, this is not a question of who's coming, but how do we fit them? How do we weave them in the most dynamic mix possible? Again, what keeps us up at night. Move over to the nightlife, speaking of night, and we're going to have intimate lounges. We're going to have these high-octane dance clubs, and we're going to have casual pubs. All of it's going to get weaved together, and then we're going to come up with this captivating nightlife. So if you're like a Pitbull, Beyonce, Lady Gaga person, there's something for you. And if you're like a Sinatra, Tom Jones kind of Michael Bublé, then we got something for you too. If you were to look at my iPod mix, it's embarrassing, and I'll tell you that it's my kids' music, but it's actually mine. I won't ask you what's on yours. So the point is, we need to cater to a wide range of tastes and styles. And our 2-hotel design didn't happen by accident. It is an intentional detail that will allow us to cater to these different crowds. Again, the renderings only start to tell the story, so let's talk about the hotels for just a minute. The sparkling glass facade, the landscape roof deck, the cabanas by the pool, Hugh and Jean did a great job talking about it. This is going to rise up in the 325-room casino hotel. It's going to rise above the racetrack, peer back to the south over the Boston City skyline, look to the north over the Revere Beach Parkway and the Revere Beach coastline. It's going to be proximate and focused around the casino. Think of like a Sinatra and Katy Perry kind of melding together there. The boutique resort hotel is going to be 175 keys of hip and cool and unique energy. Most of all, unique. Again, I'm beating this music metaphor to death, but it's kind of like Jay-Z and sort of the Dropkick Murphys in one. You'll come upstairs after an afternoon in the spa Maybe you just saw Billy Joel play an acoustic set downstairs. Or maybe you just finished your company's annual retreat and you got to go up to the room. We're going to have these technologically wired spaces that will host all of this. It's going to be pretty stupendous. Every detail gets considered here. Thread count of the sheets, the music that greets the guest. It's going to be an experience, a remarkable and memorable experience. Look, at the end of the day, this project's got to yield something so much bigger than just a casino. It's got to have soul. It's got to be authentic. Cutting and pasting a design from another market's not going to yield that kind of authentic experience. Our team, Fenard Properties, New England Development, Mohegan Sun, KPF, Elkis Manfredi, if you look at the projects that we've done over the past decades, they create experiences. I thank you for your time, and I hope that we have a chance to bring this all to Revere and to the market. I want to hand it over to Mitchell to talk a little bit about entertainment.
Thank you, Todd. I will not talk about any music metaphors. But entertainment is critical in our industry today. Look, the casino business has changed. The idea of having a buffet and a steakhouse and a few slots and tables and doing well, it's over. We're in the entertainment business. That's what you're into now. And we're going to do that. Todd told you that we're going to have a great variety of clubs and lounges so we can provide a lot of different offerings to a lot of different demographics. We're also going to provide live entertainment, probably about 20 shows a year or so in our multi-purpose room. But the strength of our entertainment program at Mohegan Sun, Massachusetts is clearly that our partnership with the City Center for the Performing Arts and the way we're going to interact with the entire arts community, with all the City Center venues and the Strand Theater. We're going to send our guests to local venues, and we're going to have transportation back and forth. City Center is our partner. They're going to operate our live entertainment venue. We're going to collaborate on booking and marketing and presenting and co-presenting events at their different venues. Now, there's no doubt that when you combine the amazing power of the buying power of City Center with the power of our organization, which, as I mentioned before, operates the #1 arena of its size in the world and has a myriad of venues in different states, we're going to have great buying power, and we're going to greatly enhance the entertainment offering in the entire Boston region. It's going to be special. So now we're going to change gears a little bit. I hope by now you have gotten the idea that we've put a great team together that can really build a remarkable facility, that can make something very special for the Commonwealth. So it's time to talk a little bit about us and our approach. We're going to work to continue to weave ourselves into the fabric of the greater Boston area. We intend to face outwards to interact with the community. We're going to have things, revenues and customers flowing back and forth into the surroundings. Our Momentum Dollars program that you're going to hear about later is going to directly drive millions of dollars into the community because our guests are going to be able to redeem their Mohegan Sun Momentum Dollars at these local merchants and actually spend their comm points in the community. Now look, as members of the community, we believe in this. We have a history of literally hundreds of years of working with our communities here in New England. We've got a track record of doing this. So now let's take a look.
We like to be part of the community, like to weave ourselves into the fabric of society. And it oftentimes isn't about making the decision that makes the most money or the most return. It's often about making the decision that's right.
They put a lot of money into our existing infrastructure there to be able to handle their needs, but it also provided excess capacity for the town.
One of the larger first projects that we were involved with was the wastewater treatment and regional expansion in the area, and that involved a major utility upgrade. Today, 7 municipalities are connected to this regional water resource that they otherwise would have not had.
There's no company in northeastern Pennsylvania that is more engaged in our community on a day-to-day basis than Mohegan Sun.
The ripple effect that Mohegan Sun had in our community goes way beyond Wilkes-Barre and Luzerne County. Sure, it's Mohegan Sun at Pocono Downs, but it's the region's Mohegan Sun.
We've seen additional economic development dollars come into our area based on people from outside the area coming in.
There's 5 hotels now being built or have been built in recent years.
There's new restaurants and new nightlife. So I think it's definitely revitalizing the entire valley.
It has a huge ripple effect on the entire business community in Eastern Connecticut. At least a half dozen new hotels that went up in the last few years. We have dozens of new restaurants and lots of support type of businesses that grew up along with the Sun.
Whether they're in Connecticut or in Pennsylvania or in Massachusetts or anywhere else in this country, they want to be a part of the local economy. And we saw that right off the bat with their professionals.
It's very unique for an organization this large to really truly have the local relationships that they do. They don't separate themselves from the community, they become part of the community.
The door's always open at Mohegan Sun. Someone answers the phone, they don't send you down a maze. If we call them and say we need help with this event or that event, they're there.
Something that shouldn't be left unsaid, the support for the social service community around here is enormous.
What I saw was great integrity.
Their position on the crime of drunk driving is first and foremost what's important to Mothers Against Drunk Driving. When I first met with the CEO, Mitchell Edis, he literally walked me through the procedure that they take for folks that they think have had too much to drink.
When we provide help to adults who have serious gambling problems, we're helping not only the family, but the community. Mohegan Sun clearly is at the top of the small group that takes this problem very seriously and has provided lots of support and clearly recognizes that problem in underage gambling is serious and wants to help combat it.
Come and visit Northeastern Pennsylvania and see the true impact that Mohegan Sun has had on our community, on our people, on our nonprofits, on our charities, and on our overall region. It has been very positive, and it's something that you just have to see it to believe it.
During the Revolutionary War, Samuel Ashbo, a Mohegan tribal member, fought at the rail fence at Bunker Hill, and he gave his life there. And so the strategic partnership of citizens of the Commonwealth with the Mohegan tribe, it dates back a lot further than the last couple of months of work that we've put together to bring the casino to Revere. We are a part of this community of Connecticut, this community of New England, and the community of Boston and Revere.
As you can see, we take great pride in becoming part of our community. I'm Bethany Seidel, Vice President of Marketing and Promotions for Mohegan Sun, and I would love to tell you about our pledge to Revere. Because we care deeply and personally about the social capital and vitality of the communities in which we live and we work. We have the highest ethical standards and practices and a deep respect for all people and the environment. As a Mohegan tribal member, I know that this is an integral part of who we are. It's what we do, and it's the Mohegan Sun way. We invest in programs that elevate the quality of life and benefit our neighbors. We believe that this is an important part of being a responsible member of the community. It is in our best interest to take care of the communities in which we live. And when it comes to Revere, we have the most generous plan. Thousands of quality jobs. Mohegan Sun, Massachusetts plans to yield 2,500 construction jobs and 4,000 permanent jobs, with 75% of the permanent jobs coming from within 15 miles. We will practice hiring and training preferences for the local community. We are providing tens of millions of dollars in new revenue to assist with the local economy annually. A minimum of $25 million in the first 3 years, a minimum of $28 million in years 4 to 6, with the potential of $40 million when we reach $1 billion in gaming revenues. Pre-opening payments will fund improvements and new construction in the local community, with $2 million for the renovation of Harry Del Russo Stadium and $1 million for the construction of a new youth center. And we're not bringing a traffic problem, we're bringing a traffic solution, with $40 million for local transportation infrastructure, addressing pre-existing problems, all with private financing, making this a reality. Please note that peak traffic times for Mohegan Sun do not coincide with peak traffic times that are locally in the area now. But let's not forget our support for our local business community. We are committed to purchasing $10 million a year for Revere businesses, with $50 million annually from businesses located within 15 miles, including women and veteran-owned businesses. And through our agreement with the Greater New England Minority Supplier Development Council, a special focus on minority businesses. And we support the Commonwealth Compact and its diversity pledge. As I said before, we see ourselves as part of the Revere community. We're family. We are also dedicated to preserving thoroughbred racing. And in fact, Suffolk Downs survival is dependent on Mohegan Sun, Massachusetts. If we get the license in Revere, Suffolk Downs stays in business. Our ground lease payments ensure the much-needed revenue stream for Suffolk Downs, thus preserving a 70-year-old racetrack tradition and history of thoroughbred racing. This will directly preserve 800 local jobs. That's 800 local jobs that are vital to the region, from trainers, jockeys, and all those who rely on this historic track. Mohegan Sun takes responsibility. Sustainability is important to us, and it's in our DNA. A commitment and consistent follow-through when it comes to doing the right thing on social and environmental issues. We are proactive rather than reactive. We look to keep problems from developing rather than waiting for a solution to be called upon. We actively seek opportunities for action that further the common interest and social good. Mitigating the social and physical side effects of gaming is vital to us as a business and as human beings. As a result, responsible gaming is of the utmost importance to us at Mohegan Sun. We uphold rigid standards and safe gaming experience that protect the community. Our comprehensive responsible gaming program is ready for implementation in Massachusetts. There are many initiatives we take to support the Problem Gambling Initiative. As an industry leader in ensuring fair and safe gaming, we support and track voluntary self-exclusion. We are one of the founding members of the Massachusetts Partnership for Responsible Gambling and have been involved for 13 years with the Massachusetts Council on Compulsive Gambling. Our plan outlines 24 policies, and we have a history of proactively providing materials and placing information in strategic locations throughout our properties. Integrated within the program will be self-assessment and mini-counseling kiosks. They will be available to all our guests. We will monitor alcohol consumption to avoid gamer intoxication. We provide rides to our customers who are unable to drive home safely. And let's talk about our commitment to the environment. As you mentioned earlier in his presentation, LEED Gold or higher is the only option for Mohegan Sun, Massachusetts. We are devoted to clean energy strategies and practices. Our project will be energy efficient. We are environmentally conscious and committed to the health of our employees and to the health of our guests. We take an integrated, interdisciplinary approach to sustainability. Our commitment to protecting Belle Isle Marsh includes improving the quality of stormwater runoff. Native plantings will enhance and restore riverfront areas. We are consulting with resource agencies regarding any environmental mitigation requirements. Over half our site is dedicated to green buffers. Our porte-cochere is a landscaped outdoor room, and we have landscaped roofs as well. Our gas-fired cogeneration plant and solar panel field can cut energy usage by 30%. 4,200 parking spaces are below the building and will not increase impervious spaces. Parking level 3 will include earth berms with natural plantings. Our greenhouse will use hydroponic technology and grow vegetables for our restaurants. Our agreement with Harvest Power in Waltham will enable us to recycle our food waste into energy. Our overall effect and feel of the interior of the project is one of space and surprise, and we will make the most of natural glass and natural light. Our indoor plaza will open up onto an outdoor terrace with views of Revere Beach. And I'd like to pass it back to Mitchell so he could explain some more to you.
Thank you, Bethany. Well, with any luck by now, you're getting an idea of the kind of company we are, to our values, to the type of remarkable experience that we're going to create here if given the opportunity in Revere. But really, at the heart of the legislation here is economic benefits to the Commonwealth. It's about putting people to work. Overall, Mohegan Sun of Massachusetts is going to be a huge prosperity creator for the region, but it goes beyond just job creation. Our city integrated approach begins with tremendous relationships with our host community, the region, and the Commonwealth. And it's all going to lead to a really drastically improved quality of life. But we're not the only people that believe that. Let's hear how many people in the area believe our project will impact the region in a positive way, in their own words.
Our number one priority is jobs, jobs, jobs.
Trust me, it's jobs. This is where the jobs are needed. This offers real economic stimulus and job growth in this area where it's needed most.
The first phase will have about 2,500 construction jobs. These men and women of all the various trades are going to be able to work on this project and then move on to other projects in our community and further up the North Shore. So that paving the way for 4,000 permanent jobs.
To actually create 4,000 new jobs in the area is an incredible opportunity.
You're not only creating jobs, you're saving jobs.
Without Suffolk Downs, I couldn't provide for my family.
I don't think anybody in the state can say that they're keeping the industry open to save that many jobs, 1,400 jobs throughout the state.
Suffolk Downs it's an institution. It's like Fenway, it's like the Garden. It's a part of Boston sports history.
We don't want Suffolk to go away.
This is how we can fix a lot of the things we've needed to fix. These are old communities with old infrastructure that need a lot of help.
It's going to allow us to do some things that we've wanted to do over the years and provide these additional services to the community that we'll be able to do now.
There'll be all kinds of infrastructure improvements that I think will benefit the entire community.
I could anticipate having a resort community here, my manpower level alone expanding 35 to 45%.
Joe recognizes with more money he'll be able to service his community better than ever.
I can anticipate a better staffed and better trained police department going forward. That said, we'll be better suited to address the needs of the citizens of the city without reservation.
We're going to probably be able to put on another 20, 25 police officers that I know my city desperately needs.
I see it as an opportunity for us to be able to provide additional services on the public safety side.
We'll get additional firefighters. We have one empty fire station, which I believe that could be open.
The best thing to happen to the city, like in my lifetime.
It's going to provide that base for the city to improve overall quality of the community. If it's sidewalks to schools to traffic improvement to stabilizing the tax rate.
Schools are bulging right now, and we're already talking about potentially building a new high school, building another school up in North Revere. We're going to need schools, and this money will help us with our bonding and help us pay the bonds.
The agreement has that monies in it. That $1 million a year will go a long way to alleviate some of those problems that we have where our English language learners need more time in school.
Traffic will not only not be impacted, traffic will actually improve as a result of this project.
We've been gridlocked for the last, if I say 40, 50 years. Well, as someone in the transportation business, we deal with traffic every day, and I see this as an opportunity to come up with a solution to mitigate that traffic.
Tens of millions of dollars are being spent to address traffic concerns.
Road improvements will be significant along the North Shore.
And let's face it, as a practical matter, who is going to spend $1 billion to build a facility if they can't get people in and out of that location?
The access to Logan Airport, the access to downtown Boston, the great metropolitan highway system that exists here with tunnels and public transportation and bridges and the like, you don't need to build a lot of infrastructure in order to support what happens here. I think that the entire region is going to be uplifted as a result of this proposal.
This type of business development and business growth will be the stimulus that will take us to the next level.
It's an incredible boom and an amazing opportunity to transform this area.
All of a sudden, things start to happen. People start investing money.
We've already seen developers come into my office with plans mostly contingent upon a resort-style casino facility coming here to Suffolk Downs.
They're talking about hotels, they're talking about residential, they're talking about retail opportunities.
We're going to see Revere Beach transform from vacant lots and rundown motels to beautiful hotels.
Lynn has over 300 waterfront acres to develop right off the Lynnway, and with Mohegan Sun coming in, this could literally launch that development.
I think you see a revival.
We believe that this is really a good thing for our entire region.
One thing improves, the next thing improves. I like to use the term, a rising tide lifts all boats.
I think it will revitalize a lot of businesses that have been here for a long time that nobody knows about.
This is truly an amazing Sleepy Beach community that is undervalued, underrated, and underdeveloped. So something like this can turn this whole thing around and put the city on the map.
This is a gateway to the North Shore, and it's an incredible opportunity to connect other areas north and south.
As the economic vitality that a casino can bring comes to Revere, it'll also lift the fortunes of all of us around there.
You actually feel the energy of multiple towns and communities owning this gateway.
We're talking about really the things that so many of us have dreamed about.
This is the big one that I think people can really come together and partner on.
Boston already is a tremendous tourist destination, and this will be a great complement.
Bringing a world-class gaming facility to the Boston market will really make a difference.
It's going to be a convention opportunity.
It will be an extension of an already great, vibrant, world-class city.
But it'll entice not only people locally and nationally, but hopefully worldwide to come visit this location, this destination.
Everybody is supporting it because they realize it's another reason to come to Boston.
Right now, we are exporting tax revenue.
The money will be here, and I'm not bringing it into another state.
The time is right for it.
It just makes total sense.
Everything just seems to fit. We have the best location, we have the best team.
It's really a win-win all around.
You're talking about a transformation for families that will be generational.
This is about driving the economy. It's about being an economic engine. There's no doubt about it. Mohegan Sun, Massachusetts is going to mean hiring local workers, partnering with local businesses, providing direct economic stimulus into the region. We're going to work closely with the New England Minority Business Development Council. We also believe in promoting tourism and the convention business in Massachusetts. When you take the fact that Boston will now be a gaming destination with all the other amazing assets, just think about what an amazing convention destination Boston will become. Extremely competitive with any place in the country. And we're going to encourage movement back and forth between our casino and the local area attractions. We're going to work with the state to help maximize those conventions. Now, there's a tremendous amount of economic benefits. Of course, you all know them because you've read through all of our papers, but we felt that if we did not put at least a few bar charts in a 90-minute presentation, we'd be exiled from corporate America. So, we have three quick bar charts for you. One is some immediate economic impacts during the construction period. You can see the total economic activity in Suffolk County, as well as the entire Commonwealth in terms of salaries and wages and total economic activity. Next. Here is in our first year of operation. You've got the same metrics. You have the total salaries and wages just in Suffolk County, and then in the entire Commonwealth, both in salaries and total economic activity. This one is really the big one, as was said in the previous video. This is the gaming tax revenue generated by Mohegan Sun, Massachusetts, which is forecast to be the highest in the Commonwealth. $217 million, you can see in our first year of operation. And as you will hear briefly, we really do not inflate our estimates. We're going to generate the most tax revenue for the Commonwealth. And I think for the last, I must have said it 3 times or 4 times in the last few minutes about our Players Co program, about the Momentum program, how we're going out of the community. Let me tell you a little bit of how that works. As you know, in a loyalty program in a casino, you earn points as you go, and you earn comp dollars. In our case, it's called Momentum dollars, and you spend them at your leisure. In most casinos, in fact, even in Connecticut, you spend your dollars on the property. We're extending that project, that program out into the local community. We've already signed up businesses to participate in this, where our guests could take their Momentum cards and go into the businesses and spend their Momentum dollars in those businesses. When we sent our RFA2 application into you, we had 60 businesses already signed up. Now it's over 100 and growing. Those are millions and millions of dollars, comp dollars, earned at the casino that are directly going out into the community. This is not speculative. This is a program where we have people signed up. It's something that's already done. And speaking of something that's already done, it's our agreement with the lottery. We already have our signed agreement with the lottery. It'll be a mutually beneficial relationship where we'll co-market together. Obviously, we'll be a licensed vendor, and we'll be selling lottery tickets and being a vendor of the lottery in Massachusetts. And that is, again, an example We're doing our homework. We're not speculating. We're not telling you we're going to do things. We're getting things done. We're getting the papers signed. You know, we create a great experience at Mohegan Sun. We firmly believe that, you know, every place has tables and slots, and it's beyond the physical surroundings that make people come back. We believe at the base of our experience, in fact, we say at the core of our success, are employees. Our company operates under the Built to Last principles, and we have 4 core values. One of the main ones is developing dedicated and passionate employees, because we know they are the people at the end of the day that create the experience that makes people come back, that drives revenue to the property, and therefore, in this case, the Commonwealth. So now let's take a look at why we believe we are the employer of choice.
The employees are the success of the Mohegan Sun.
One of our 4 core values is developing dedicated and passionate employees, and we take that very seriously, and it's really paid off, and we've seen the careers of so many people blossom.
You've got to create a culture where 11,000 people enjoy coming to work. I would say it's the most essential part of our business.
What I found at Mohegan was a home, a family.
I've never seen the camaraderie that I experience on a day-to-day basis with Mohegan Sun.
They take care of us. They are very supportive, and they treat us well.
I can't imagine myself anywhere else at this point in my life.
We have a culture of mutual respect, a culture of open communication.
We focus on hiring locally and training.
We opened up our own school and trained the people of Northeast Pennsylvania so they could have those jobs. And that is a commitment to the community.
98% of the people on the casino floor were hired and trained locally. It's very important for us to do that. We just did the same thing with our hotel in Pocono Downs.
At Mohegan Sun, there's so many opportunities.
There's accounting, there's marketing.
Anything a city requires is pretty much what we do here.
These folks have a great opportunity not just to have a job, but to start a career.
You don't have to jump to a new job every 3 years. They promote from within.
It provided an opportunity for growth, a career that you really couldn't find in the area.
I started as a Players Club supervisor. I've assumed more responsibilities over the years, and the title changed thus to hotel manager.
Here I am 17 years with security, with good benefits, medical, dental, vision, 401k, tuition reimbursement. We have a dry cleaners, we have a bank, we have a fitness center, we have a store.
You get meals to eat, complimentary. I mean, it's great.
Honestly, I'm so passionate about the company. I mean, I wake up thankful every day that I had an opportunity to get in at Mohegan Sun.
I'm very proud to say I work for Mohegan Sun at Pocono Downs and Mohegan Sun as a whole. You leave happy, you know that you made someone smile, in addition to all the other benefits of being an employee here.
I love it.
Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Kawal Ba. I am the Chief Human Resource Officer for Mohegan Sun, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you briefly our culture at Mohegan Sun, just in case you missed Undercover Boss this past Friday. And to tell you why we are the right employer. We are the right employer because we are focused on guest service strategy that begins with our employee. We hire like our business depends on it, because it does. We take a leading-edge behavioral approach and hire committed people. In fact, 90% of our supervisory and management positions were filled by internal promotion. And it is important to note that over 50% of our day one team members are still employed today. We train from the heart by providing team members with skills to be successful in their position, from leadership development, tuition reimbursement, to the very first day where our orientation blows the lights out. We provide an outstanding work environment because we realize that providing exceptional service internally translates to exceptional service externally. We provide fitness centers, on-site pharmacies, relaxing break areas that have pool tables, ping pong tables, video games, free meals. But most important, we provide a relationship of mutual respect to our team. And we protect that culture. Every business decision that we make has that foremost in mind. We are the right employer because we are diverse. As it has been mentioned, Mohegan Sun is minority-owned and operated by the Mohegan Tribe of Indians. and we are committed to developing and maintaining a diverse workforce in every community in which we operate. Currently, our Connecticut and Pennsylvania properties have a combined diversity percentage of 41%. This has been achieved in demographics that are far less diverse than the Boston area. To give you a perspective, Northeast Pennsylvania has less than 4% diverse applicants. If you were to add our managed property in Atlantic City, our diversity rate reaches nearly 50%. And our team members are represented nearly equal part female to male. Our entire team is committed to diversity, and including our senior leadership who participate in the diversity committee and is responsible for administering our diversity plan. Our diversity plan for Mohegan Sun, Massachusetts contains goals agreed upon in our host community agreement with Revere and in alignment with our core business strategies. Hiring goals related to the Revere community, including our effort to provide outreach to the Spanish-speaking residents. We ensure that diversity is an integral part of the way we work, and we run awareness programs, initiatives, and actively participate in community groups such as American Legion, NAACP, Rainbow Alliance, Latino Chamber of Commerce, to name a few. The truly outstanding contributing factor to our diversity is our hiring process and the concentration on soft skills versus technical. A resume and experience is always secondary to a friendly smile, thus opening the door to many who wouldn't apply. We are the right employer because our employees love their work. In a survey conducted independently by Sterling Research, 94% of our employees either agreed or strongly agreed that they enjoyed working for our organization. In the most recent 2013 Northeast Hospitality Comp Data Survey, it was reported that hospitality companies saw approximately 40% turnover rate. Comparably, Mohegan Sun, Connecticut had but a mere 5% turnover in the same time frame. And our Pennsylvania operation had only 23%. So it can be reasonably deducted that our team not only loved their job, but they stay and develop their careers with us. Finally, Mohegan Sun pays a leading-edge wage and proposed no differently for Mohegan Sun, Massachusetts. We have approximated average wages, including fringe benefits, around $56,000. We are the employer of choice because of our convenient location. As we mentioned, we are going to make every reasonable effort to hire 75% of our workforce from approximately 15 miles in radius, ensuring direct proximity to the Blue Line, the MBTA buses that will provide alternate means of transportation, similar to how Suffolk Downs has operated since the 1930s, and it's a low-cost means of transportation. And we are the right employer because of our labor collaboration. We are committed to providing existing Suffolk Downs and prior Wonderland employees one of the first opportunities to apply for this positions at Mohegan Sun, Massachusetts. We are the only applicant in the Eastern region who has a detailed project labor agreement with both the building and construction trades as well as New England Regional Council on Carpenters, with over 70 pages submitted to you, the Commission. We are the only applicant who has a signed memorandum of agreement signed by a conglomeration of 4 separate unions, the IBEW, the UAW, Teamsters, and LIUNA, representing the interest of an additional 6 unions in the Boston Revere area. We are also the only applicant in the Eastern region who have submitted letters of support, 8 letters of support to be exact. Letters from the IBEW, Local 103, Laborers, Local 22, Teamsters, Local 25, Sheet Metal Workers, Local 17, UFCW, Local 1445, New England Regional Council of Carpenters, Building Construction Trades, and the entire Boston Labor Council, AFL-CIO. Thank you. Now to discuss Mohegan Sun as a right revenue generator, I want to reintroduce Bethany Seidel. Thank you.
We have a track record of proven success. We're a highly respected brand, and we've whet the appetite already for Massachusetts and Mohegan Sun. We currently work in a competitive environment, and we get the kind of financial results you're looking for. You've received projections, and they're conservative because we do not inflate our estimates. We consistently exceed them. Our approach is team-based, and it's built to last. We are not a one-man show. Mohegan Sun is an extremely well-known brand where it matters the most, in the Northeast. We know these guests better than anyone. We have been doing this for 17 years. As strategic marketers, we've optimized our formula for revenue-driving success. We know how to meet the needs and wants of our guests in the Northeast and beyond. And it's location, location, location. We thrive in this environment and have a database of millions that comes with it. Our complete product offering creates a unique guest experience that maximizes revenues. We already operate regionally competitive markets like Atlantic City, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut. The other applicant is not in this business. And we've got momentum in Massachusetts. Our Momentum loyalty program is innovative, revenue-generating, loyalty-building, and portable. With a loyalty program as compelling as ours, our guests are eager to be rewarded and recognized for their patronage. Momentum gives guests the control and the choice to select rewards they want, when they want them. And driving the power of Momentum is our database, consisting of nearly 5 million customers in the Northeast alone. We also have an international database that includes Mexico, China, and the Middle East. What better way to increase tourism and visitation than a pre-existing audience? We are the only applicant with that type of regional experience, the only one. This is what we do. This is what we excel at. And this is why we're able to drive the market share we do in our respective markets. Currently, our Massachusetts Momentum members represent nearly 1 million gaming trips a year, generating over 130 million in gaming activity. We have an instant and active database with our multi-property loyalty program and can communicate with millions directly through personal relationships, email, direct mail, phone, and mobile offerings. These are people in your region and in your neighborhoods, people we already know and who will love to escape right here to Mohegan Sun, right here on the North Shore. The day we open, we will have members with Momentum dollars ready to be redeemed. Of the 3.7 million adults within 60 miles of Revere, 670,000, or 1 in every 6, are in our database already. Based on activity that is occurring right now, we know the guests' value, when they visit, how often, what games they play, and what they like. This valuable revenue-driving information cannot be matched by a more general Vegas casino and database. With that list, our database, we immediately drive revenues from in and out of the region, and we are legally bound to protect Massachusetts by preventing revenue from leaving the state because of our management agreement with Brigade Capital. I'd like to invite Mitchell back to expand on how we will exceed your expectations.
Thanks, Bethany. 1 out of 6 adults already in our database. That's why a $15 billion investment fund wants to be part of this project. That's why we're going to exceed your expectations. I'm looking, there's 5 of you. So that means he's probably the one person in the database. But we will exceed your expectations, and we have exceeded expectations. So let's look at Pennsylvania. When Pennsylvania studied their casinos, their task force projected that in a stabilized year, Mohegan Sun at Pocono Downs would generate approximately $131.4 million in revenue. In the year ending August 31st, 2013, we generated $221.6 million in revenue. That's 69% more than the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania estimated. We know how to get it done. We know how to exceed expectations. That's what we try to do. In New Jersey, we went in and purchased a percentage, and were brought in to Resorts International to manage that casino, to help revive the original casino in Atlantic City that was one of the older casinos in Atlantic City. We renovated it. We went in there. From the time period of July till the end of the year, after we opened the renovation, our revenues in that property, it grew by 11.5%. The revenues of all the other casinos in Atlantic City declined by 0.9%. Plus 11.5, minus 0.9. It's a tough market, but we know how to get it done. In Connecticut, it's another success story. Mohegan Sun, Connecticut, is the highest grossing casino of casino win in the Western Hemisphere. And that includes Las Vegas. It is in the Western Hemisphere. We opened the shadows of what was at that time the highest grossing, most powerful casino in the world. We don't like to say their name out loud, but it starts with an F, Foxwoods. And we eclipsed them. Our property is wildly successful. If you want big players from all over the country, we've got them in our database. They're our customers. That's how you are the highest grossing casino in the Western Hemisphere. If you want regional customers to come to the Commonwealth instead of going to Connecticut and to Rhode Island, we've got them too. They're already our customers. It's as simple as that. It's a proven formula. It works in all our markets. It's going to work here in Massachusetts, and it can also help us, with the power of that database, fend off competition, should there be some, from neighboring to states like New Hampshire, because we know what it takes to get it done. We like to think our game is different. It's how we generate more. We provide great experiences to our guests. Our guests have a wide range of preferences, and we know what they are, from $2 poker to slots to a private high-end gaming room for the highest player. No matter where we go, we put facilities in place that work for that market. You can't do the same thing everywhere. And of course, every casino has slots and blackjack, but as I explained to you before, our role at play creates an amazing experience, starting with our employees, going to the surroundings, that makes people come back and sets a stage for that wow experience. Now, I mentioned our 4 core values. We have 4 of them. You know about our dedicated and passionate employees. The first one's blow away the customer. The second one is driving bottom line performance. And the one you aren't aware of is continuously striving for perfection. And that's what this slide is all about. Because you have to continue to evolve your product. You have to evolve, especially in a repeat guest market. We have to evolve your marketing programs. You have to evolve your property. You have to change the clubs. You have to change the restaurants. You have to make sure you're giving your guests what they want. You have to monitor your service scores. You have to monitor your guest expectations. We constantly strive for perfection. We do that. That is our goal. That's how we drive market share. That's how we would be successful for you if you give us the chance here in the Commonwealth. So at the end of the day, can't believe we're at the end. You've got a very difficult task ahead of you. Our goal has been to make this an easy choice for you. And to make it even easier, we've let David Letterman help us. We're going to give you the top 10 reasons why we're the right choice for the Commonwealth, in no particular order. 1, we have that New England know-how, yet we're that internationally and nationally recognized brand, respected by Wall Street and respected for the way we operate. We have that welcoming, accessible location, Revere, with a long history of gaming and hospitality. You can look over there and you can see those slides, and you know we have the wow that this market wants and that the Commonwealth deserves. We can get up and running quickly. Our project is on a clean site. Easy to build on, no environmental problems. Our projections estimate that we will be up and running 6 months earlier. That's a half a year earlier than the other applicant. We're the maximum tax generator. Let's face it, we're here to generate revenues for the Commonwealth, and we showed you that, $217 million. We have a history of integrity and longevity. We don't fight with our neighbors. We actually fight with our neighbors. As Chairman Brown said in the video, we're with our local communities, and we have a track record of doing that. We are a highly respected, successful brand with a tremendous amount of awareness in this Commonwealth around the Boston area. We've been advertising at Fenway Park and in the Garden with the Celtics and the Bruins and on TV around here for years. People know what Mohegan Sun is. There's instant brand awareness. And of course, our database, as I mentioned before, that gets us up and running quickly as well and already has those customers that we can market to immediately. We have a comprehensive mitigation program, the most lucrative host community agreement in the Commonwealth. We're taking care of all the problems. Mayor Rizzo's got a tremendous amount to work with, and we are proud to have dedicated all those funds. The continuity of Suffolk Downs, we cannot stress it enough. Without the revenues associated from the ground lease, the owners of Suffolk Downs will not be able to sustain the losses any longer. They have already submitted a letter to you committing to 15 years of racing from the time we get our license. And that is from the time we get our license. So that's maybe more like 17 years of racing. That is the continuity of Suffolk Downs. And last but not least, Mohegan Sun is a destination the Commonwealth needs. It's a destination for everyone. The International High Roller, the National Gallery from Chicago, the region, the market. We know how to do that. We know how to perform. You give us the chance. We promise we will not let you down. Thank you for your attention, and to turn it over for a few closing words, once again, to Chairman Brown.
I feel kind of like the straight man right now. But I think the point, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, is that we've demonstrated for you today clearly that we have both the passion and the professionalism that make us the team of choice, that we're ideally suited to win this gaming license for Massachusetts. We'd be truly honored to have the opportunity to bring our project here and to bring our team's vision to life. A vision for the people of Revere, a vision that makes Revere remarkable again.
This decision is about far more than building a casino. It's about possibility.
About promise.
About a vision for the future. The future.
It's about providing the greatest economic impact for the Commonwealth. And putting people to work. Yes. Just as Suffolk Downs did in 1935.
And once again making Revere
a thriving tourist destination that draws guests of all economic walks of life
who will come here from Boston, the Commonwealth, the region, and the world.
We understand this kind of vision
and have the New England know-how to turn it
into a reality.
It's what we have done before, and we'll do again in Revere.
We're proud of what we do every day.
We treat our guests and employees
the way we believe every person should be treated.
With courtesy and respect.
We will do all of this in a way that'll make the local community
and the Commonwealth proud.
We have a dedication to diversity, a legacy of integrity, proven programs of partnership,
and a history of responsible citizenship in the communities in which we operate. All of us are ready to get started.
On Mohegan Sun, Massachusetts, and become part of your community. In fact, it would be an honor.
I suppose in conclusion, it would only be right to thank all of you for your support for this project and to thank the Commission for their time. We stand ready to answer any questions that you might have.
Good. Okay, that concludes the Mohegan Sun presentation, and we will now go back to the regular order of business of the Revere City Council for February 3rd, 2014.
Calendar item number 2, report of the Appointments Subcommittee.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice President, and Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier this afternoon, the appointment subcommittee met, and we had several applicants for various positions within our community, and I'd like to read them all at once. Each of the names that I'm going to mention and all the positions that applied for were voted out favorably by the appointment subcommittee, and I ask that this council as a whole do the same. If there are any objections to taking them all at once, I'd like to hear that prior to the reading. If not, we'll go as proceeds. Mr. President, earlier this afternoon, the appointment subcommittee met, and the appointment of Neil Shea, Jr., 909 Revere Beach Parkway, Revere, Mass., as a constable was approved. Next was the appointment of Cynthia Latolis, 936 Winthrop Ave, Revere, as a constable. That also was approved. Appointment of Nicholas Maglione, 20 Derby Road, Revere, Mass., as a constable. That also was approved. The reappointment of J. Marchese and Son, Inc., 69 Norman Street, Everett, Mass., as a licensed drain layer. That also was approved. Residency waiver for Michael Kessman, project engineer, community development, 37 Brookdale Road, Brighton, Mass. That was approved. Residency waiver of Lauren Chuziak, part-time public library, 26 Saratoga Street, East Boston, was tabled. Reappointment of chairman of the Board of Assessors Andrew Iavana, 14 Joseph Road, Revere, for a 3-year term expiring February 14, 2017. That was approved. The reappointment of the Conservation Commission to the Conservation Commission, Joseph A. Laval, 41 Bickford Avenue, Revere, Mass., for a 3-year term. That was tabled. Reappointment to the Conservation Commission, Vincent Camerata, 624B Malden Street, Revere, Mass., for a 3-year term. That was approved. Reappointment to the Health Board of Dr. John L. Benecki, 140 School Street, Revere, for a term of 3 years. That was tabled. The reappointment to the Planning Board, Henry Tufo, 59 Larkin Street, Revere, for a 3-year term. That was approved. Reappointment to the Disability Commission, Lucy Cavello, 4 Adams Court, Revere, Mass., for a 3-year term. That was tabled. Reappointment to the Disability Commission, Harvey Corin, 35 Macoba Street, Revere, 3-year term. That was approved. Reappointment to the Disability Commission, Paul Mazzoni, 62A Pitcairn Street, Revere, for a 3-year term. That also was approved. And I ask that this council vote favorably for all those who were mentioned. Thank you, Mr. President.
Madam Clerk.
Shall the City Council approve the appointments and residency waiver as reported by Chairman Guanasso? Councilor Rigo. Yes. Councilor Janino? Yes. Yes. Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Haas? Yes. Yes. Councilor Morbido? Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Penta is absent. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Reardon?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes, the committee report has been approved. Calendar item number 3, communication from the Superintendent of Public Schools requesting a conflict of interest exemption under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 268A, Section 20B, for Jose Cardenas, paraprofessional and translator.
What's the will of the council? We'll take up a vote on this. All in favor, all opposed? So voted.
Calendar item number 4, communication from the mayor relative to the fraud, waste, and abuse policy of the City of Revere.
Mr. Mayor? Oh. A little technical difficulties here.
That's okay. Thank you very much, Ashley. Mr. President, members of the council, this is something that I have been playing around with a little bit, probably since the early days of my administration. We finally tweaked it up to a point where we felt as though we could send it up to City Council. Essentially what it's doing is it's putting everybody on notice that we do have a fraud and waste abuse policy here in the city, and that it will be something, if approved by the City Council, will be distributed through all departments, including the school department, to let our employees know what is expected and what potential ramifications are if we aren't operating within the confines of what the policy says. So, I'm hopeful that it's something that that the council will look at and look on favorably. If there are any additions, deletions, modifications, whatever it is that you may see fit, I can certainly talk about it if this goes to subcommittee, which I presume it probably will.
I'm certainly inclined to send this to the Legislative Affairs Subcommittee, and but I'm sure there'll be a little bit of discussion here tonight, and I think it's a great idea, and I'm sure if there's any tweaking, it'll be very little. And so, any councilors? Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I know it's going to go into committee, but just is this something that every employee is going to have to sign a receipt for and send it like we have with the some of the other policies?
That wasn't my intention.
Okay.
It's just going to be a policy that will be clearly stated, and we will put an emphasis on our department heads that they make sure that this is a policy that is circulated, that every member of their respective departments has an opportunity to see. But we're not going to take, signed, documented acknowledgments from our workforce. But it is essentially just laying out the policy that really for 99% of our workforce it's going to be irrelevant. It's for that 1%, and we've seen over time. When you're dealing with any organization with over 1,000 employees, there's always those that are trying, maybe not to be on the same page as the other 999. So, we felt an obligation to put this policy out there, to do our duty, to do everything we can to let our workforce know that we are in tune with what's going on, and that we're going to continue to be in tune with what's going on in our departments. And if behavior is not such that coincides with our philosophy, and I know your philosophy as city council is, that there will be consequences. So that's really why we submitted it.
Mr. President, if I may, it's a great idea, and I believe in a lot of the policies that have come forth, and this is an excellent one, and I'm sure there are a lot more that we'll be looking at down the road that we should believe that we should look into and get them done through the city. But we'll look forward to talking about and reading it a little closer as we get into the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Obviously, this is something that any organization the size of this city should have should certainly should have been contemplated well before this. I did read through the document. I agree it does need some tweaking. My only two issues that I hope we can discuss in subcommittee are the chain of command and reporting. I think it's a little unclear in the document. But the other thing I'm concerned about is that there seems to be some emphasis on blame and potentially, do you want to report your fellow workers, et cetera? I think there ought to be some sort of separation between waste that is nobody's fault, that's just something that could be changed, that an employee could say, geez, if we did this thing differently, we could save X amount of dollars, and the type of waste that turns into that is actually fraud. And I think it's important to distinguish between those two, because you may be stultifying an employee because he doesn't want to get someone else in trouble, or he feels as though this is a blame situation. But it's certainly something we can work in subcommittee, and I think this document is a necessary feature of our city government. Thank you.
Well, Councilor, certainly. Your experience as an attorney could be extremely helpful to kind of, make this a more comprehensive and better document. So I look forward to hearing about some of the modifications that you may want to offer in subcommittee.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Mayor, I think this is something that perhaps is long overdue. My question is, who would the reporting be made to, and who would ultimately, I mean, yourself, you're the appointing authority within the municipal government. Would it then be fall upon yourself to make the determination as to whether or not there was wrongdoing? What type of a hearing would there be with regard to that?
Well, right now, as you alluded to, I am the appointing authority, and I remember my predecessor, Mayor Ambrosino, used to lament over the fact that one of his biggest issues, and I'm sure former Mayor Hess also had to deal with, dealing with employee issues, employee-related issues, is one of the biggest pain in the necks that you have to deal with. I got to be honest with you. I think that we're the only municipality that I'm aware of that doesn't have a human resource department. It just doesn't make any sense to me, and I understand it's a financial issue, but really for whether it's former Mayor Haas, former Mayor Ambrosino, myself, my successor, whoever that might be, you really need a human resource director in an organization this size. So to Councilor Powers' point, to answer your question directly, yes, that falls on me. I wish it didn't. And if things work out, we just saw this 90-minute presentation that might loosen up the finances a little around the city. I, no doubt, would come to you asking for your approval to create at least one position for a human resource director.
Again, I think it's an important position. As a matter of fact, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we had one under Mayor Haas for a brief period of time, personnel director, and I think that's very important. But again, I think ultimately the decision, the determination that person would make goes to yourself as the appointing authority, and I think that's probably by statute also. Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Powers. Councilor Arrigo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I do want to commend the mayor on this this item, and it is long overdue. I think Councilor Ridden had alluded to this, that it should have been something that maybe was done a long time ago. And I do appreciate the fact that it will go to committee. There were a couple of, I think, instances where we might be able to tweak it a little bit, but one thing that I did notice too was in conversation about who to report to, there's we also want to think about the signs that we have up, I think downstairs. There's a fraud, waste, and abuse sign that says report everything to the Inspector General. So for people to get kind of mixed signals, it might be important to make sure that everyone's on the same page, everyone, getting the same message out about who to report to and who is going to get the instances of fraud, waste, and abuse to deal with. And to your point about having a director of personnel, that is something that is probably even further overdue than a fraud, waste, and abuse policy. It is a little, I think we are probably the only community within at least 10 or 15 miles without one. And a lot of the work, if you get somebody who knows what they're doing as a director of personnel, they can take a lot of the headaches away, what you have to deal with, what some of your staff has to deal with day in and day out. And I think that would be a very wise investment in the future. Thank you, Mr. President.
I appreciate that. I guess I'll call it in advance support, right? So I appreciate that. And as far as the signage downstairs, I mean, that's something that absolutely we would need to, clarify things. But this is kind of a work in progress right now. So, and as much as look, it's part of my job. I am the appointing authority right now, and absent a human resource department, it does fall on my shoulders. So, but that's a conversation we can have down the road. And hopefully, as I say, as our financial situation changes, hopefully for the better, we'll, maybe that's something that we can look into.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Legislative Affairs.
Thank you.
Calendar item number 5, communication from the mayor relative to contract salary renegotiations for the position of Superintendent of Public Works.
Mr. Mayor, obviously this is going to go to Ways and Means, but please help yourself.
I wanted, first of all, Mr. President, through you to members of the council, and my apologies to those councilors that I didn't get to. I've been able to reach out over the weekend. Again, it seems like an old song at this point, but I mean, I've just been so I've just been so busy with so many different things that are time sensitive that I didn't have a chance to get to every single councilor regarding this particular issue. But it is something that was talked about a while ago. We did sit down with the union representative, and because of additional duties that the superintendent has had to take on, and I can tell you they are many, that a raise was negotiated for him. You know, I can tell you with 100% certainty everything that we do with respect to any type of appropriations, including raises, is done with, you know, obviously using a very thorough thought process. And this was something that we thought, as a matter of fairness, because of the extra work, and there's probably not a councilor here that hasn't called the superintendent on the weekend for something. He's very accessible. You know, he has his phone on 24/7, and these additional duties, even the union thought that it was warranted. So through impact bargaining, you know, it was decided that we came up with a number, which in this case was $10,000, and we do not require any further appropriation for this. So the money is there. It's just a matter of approval from council members. So I understand completely. It has to go to probably Ways and Means. If you let me know and you want me there, I'd be happy to come before the committee and talk about this further.
I'm sure we certainly want you to come before the committee and discuss your reasoning for this and how you arrived at the number and so forth. I know your 2-year track record up here is one of doing due diligence, and I know that you've looked into this very closely, and I'm sure my members are going to want to know the reasoning behind how you come up with these numbers. And does anybody want to talk on this tonight? Is this going to Ways and Means? Ways and Means.
Calendar item number 6, communication from the mayor relative to the firefighters union contract.
Mr. Mayor, again, this is obviously going to Ways and Means, but we'll entertain your thoughts.
Thank you once again, Mr. President and members of the council. When I came into office, I think most unions were out of contract. And in the case of the Revere Fire Department, they had been out of contract for a couple of years. And I guess they had tried to resolve their contract with then Mayor Ambrosino, but they could not come to any type of agreement. So when I took office, we started negotiating with the fire department to work towards a settlement that would work for both the city and the fire department. Concurrently, during that time, the fire department filed for arbitration. And we continued, as we went through the process of arbitration, to try to come to terms to avoid having to get to a point where an award was granted. Because at that point, obviously, you know, it's, you know, you're crossing your fingers on both ends. And that's not generally the way you like to see things go. Unfortunately, the conversations continued. We could not come to any real solution, any real agreement that would be acceptable to members of the union and or to the city. So we went through the arbitration process, and as you see in your package, an award was made. And I think all things considered, I think it averages out somewhere to about 2.5% per year, if you add it all up. And I know the fire department, I think, would have liked more, and the city, in all fairness, probably would have liked less. And I think that's really how arbitration sometimes goes. Sometimes it goes, if you look in the case of the Boston Police Department, 5 years, 5% a year, 25%. I mean, really, really tough thing to swallow. And so, you know, every municipality is struggling, and you know, we do the very best that we can to make sure that we maintain a certain level of services, and obviously, you know, keep within the confines of collective bargaining to the extent possible. In this case, through an arbitration award. So you have the award in front of you. You know, I am here to present this to you. Ultimately, you have to approve this contract. See the members of the union here behind us. President Landry's here, and members of his department. Let me say this, and I know I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. The Revere Fire Department, for a city of 54,000 people, is one of the most respected departments across Massachusetts. And I've learned that in my position as mayor. When you go to other cities and towns, you know, the subject comes up about, you know, response times and firefighters, things like that. They are very highly regarded. So, you know, I'd like to say for the record that, you know, in as much as I would have liked to not had to go to arbitration and give them what they wanted, I still have a responsibility to the city council and the taxpayers of the community to negotiate something that we think we can afford. At the end of the day, now the arbitrator is telling us essentially what we're going to have to afford. And I talked with, you know, obviously worked hand in hand, and I really have to thank an awful lot my director of finance, George Anzoni, who, believe me, it's no easy task to try to figure out, you know, where the money's going to come from, how we're going to fund it, if we can fund it. But thankfully, George has been doing this for 37 years now, George? 36 years, okay. So, so George was extremely instrumental in getting us to this point, and actually extremely instrumental in meeting consistently with the fire department and members of the arbitration team. So you have this in front of you. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I may defer some of those questions to our Director of Finance because, you know, he might be able to answer some of the questions that you might have, whether you do it here tonight or you decide you want to do it all in subcommittee. That's entirely up to the council.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, first for announcing our Director of Finance, George Anzoni, who's in the audience, and my dear friend, Captain Landry, the President of the Firefighters Union. I guess we're going to have a little discussion. This is obviously going to Ways and Means. So, Councilor Giannino, you're up first.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for putting this on the agenda tonight. I talk about long overdue things. I think this definitely is, so I really appreciate that getting on there. I have a couple points on this. First of all, we have one of the best fire departments in the state. Best, hands down. And they are one of the lowest paid fire departments in the state. And that's something that's a fact. It's a number. You can look it up. It's there. And I don't think that they should have to wait any longer for this because these are Revere firefighters, these are Revere families, and by holding this up and making it go longer and longer and longer, we're hurting those families. And I don't agree with it. I think that it's something that was negotiated in arbitration. It's something that we have to vote on. I think that there are discussions. Everyone's here now. We should take them up, answer them, and help these men and women get what they deserve for serving our community as well as they have. Thank you.
Thank you for your opinion, Councilor. However, we do have ordinances and rules up here that we follow. This will be going to Ways and Means Committee. Anybody else? Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. I share the same comments as Councilor Giannino. I think our fire department in this city, particularly in this city, due to the fact that there's so much more of a response required because of all of the medicals, the car accidents, etc. And I say that my family has had to interact several times with the fire department, and they've been there 100%. And I think that particularly with the fact that Engine 2 is closed, they take on even a heavier burden in supporting the citizens of this city. So I personally would like to get this on a fast track, in committee, out of committee, and voted on so that they can get on with their lives. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Powers, and that will happen. And let me just say before I call anybody else, I take a back seat to nobody with the respect I have for our fire department. And they are the best in the state. I know that, and we will certainly get this in and out of committee quickly. There will be no delays. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I agree with Councilor Giannino that we should take it up tonight. I know you come up with some ordinance that we never brought up before, but again, when the police negotiated their contract, I had the same argument. We cannot change this judgment, as same as we couldn't change the police negotiation. I know, being there myself before, they've waited since 2010. I don't see, as we did with the police, we put it in Ways and Means, and we talked about it, and we vote yes or no. We can't change it. We can't change this. So you either vote yes or no. I want to vote yes, and I want to get. I think they deserve it. I don't think they deserve to wait any longer. Thank you, Mr. President.
Again, I thank you for your opinion. I don't like to be up here giving civic lessons or lessons in what ordinances are and what rules of order are and what we're supposed to do, and we have a fiduciary responsibility to know exactly where money comes from. Just because an arbitrator tells us we have to pay it, we still have to know where it's coming from, and there are procedures up here. That's why these rules are in place, that when we expend more than $5,000 in this body, it goes for a financial analysis. That's the rule. That's what's on the books. Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Mayor, do we have this money available?
Yes, we do. But I will tell you that I will have to come back, unfortunately,
right,
and dig out again from that free cash that I had put into stabilization. There's about $2 million in retro payments that we're going to be required to pay here, and so with an award like this, we just don't have. We can't go out and bond for it.
Right.
So it's unfortunate. I was with my contemporary over in Malden, Mayor Christensen, last year. We talked about, and listen, I don't think there's a mayor or a councilor that ever wants to go into a rainy day, or into, in this case, into stabilization. But he went in for over $4 million last year just to balance his budget. Nothing to do at all with any type of arbitration award. So, from time to time, you have to. It's unfortunate, and I don't like to have to do that. But money has to come from somewhere. So if it doesn't come from there, I'm not sure where we'll get the money.
Okay. What is the magnitude of the award?
Well, in total, it's going to be $2.4 million, but I believe $2 million is retro. Right? $2 million is retro. So $2 million is retro, and then going fast forwarding for next year,
right,
it's about a $400,000 annual hit. It's the retro part of this because they've been out of contract for so long that really came up and hit us, you know, and it's not something that the city council caused, it's not something I caused,
Right.
but they've been out of contract now for a long time, and you know, it's, again, one of those things, you know, if you know, if you know, I could go back and recreate history, I would have had the contract settled with them back in 2010. But here we are in FY15, you know. So.
Is this award greater than what the city offered?
Greater than what we offered?
Yes.
Oh, it's significantly greater than what we offered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my question.
But I will say this, you know, listen, you know what it's like. You've negotiated these contracts before.
Right.
They start here and you start here and you work your way towards the middle. I mean, you know, we, you know, I think 2.5% when you see some of these awards, as I used for an example earlier, the 5% per year that the Boston Police Department got, you know, things could have been much, much worse in our estimation.
I agree. The firemen deserve every bit and even more. But again, you know, if you got the money in the stabilization fund, you have to take it out and use it. Bottom line, you know. Thank you.
And we, you know,
Thank you, Councilor Haas.
But if I could just follow up, I'm sorry, Mr. President, to Councilor Haas's point. Look, it would be my goal, God willing, if there's free cash that comes along this coming year.
Absolutely.
You know, to try to go back and replenish it. Nobody wants to use free cash to balance your budget. I think Councilor Arrigo was talking about that when, you know, the first time I went back to try to balance this year's budget when I needed $1.5 million out of it. But, you know, sometimes, you know, you have to, you know, that's why, I mean, it's a rainy day fund. And when you know, I mean, people, I know now, people have to dip into it from time to time when certain situations arise, and this happens to be one of them. I don't anticipate, God willing, any more arbitration awards coming down the pike anytime soon. So.
Well, Mr. President, we can have a meeting next Monday?
Absolutely.
Immediately?
We will have a Ways and Means meeting next Monday. Whether or not our chairman is healthy enough to have it, I will appoint someone to run that meeting. Councilor Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I completely support your position on this. We have our rules. We have them for a reason, and the reason that we put these things before a subcommittee so that we can is so that we can reasonably deliberate these things. Sometimes when you reasonably and intelligently deliberate things, you actually come up with solutions, and there may be a solution out there that might help us pay for this differently than what has been proposed. And I know the mayor is always open to suggestion on things like this. And something that's been sitting on essentially open since 2010, I think could at least stand another couple of weeks of deliberation. This was with all due respect to the firefighters. They certainly deserve what they are probably and almost certainly are going to get. I wouldn't even say probably, certainly going to get. But talking about it a little bit, and mostly, more importantly, exposing our constituents to this in a reasonable fashion is as important as getting it done. The other thing I would comment on, we have two contracts here, obviously, the second contract being expiring again in June of 2015. I would hope that we would do something a little bit earlier so that we could either get into negotiations and successfully negotiate or get this thing into arbitration before we go too far into the next empty contract period. And it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to be going back and forth on these things 3 years into or 4 years into a contract. We need to get them done, and if we can't get them done, we have to go to the arbitrator just as our collective bargaining agreements require. So it makes sense, and I hope we're not sitting here 3 years from now doing the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Reardon. Councilor Arrigo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have one quick question, or actually two questions. How much will be left in our rainy day fund after this 1.6 is taken out?
I think somewhere around $3 million. About $3 million.
3? Okay.
Oh,
I thought it would be less than 3, but like 2.4.
Go ahead, John.
Mr. Director.
There's presently about, as of June 30th, it was about $5,300,000. So we used 3,100,000 with the 1.5 plus the 1.6 here today. So that brings you down to what the figure will be. What I do want to note is the fact that what will occur, and here's how we plan to occur. If you remember back in this is in the letter, back when in June of 2013, we had last year 2.8 million and change free cash. Knowing that these type of things are coming along the board, we asked to conservatively put those into the stabilization fund. That bringing us the stabilization fund up to, I believe, 5.290. With that, that was probably one of the highest stabilization accounts the city's ever had. In doing so, we were able to put a placeholder for that money because we knew some sort of arrangement was going to be made with this union as far as either the JLNC or do negotiations. Once we take that money out and take all of the money out, well, we already appropriated the 1.5, now this 1.6. We will be probably about $300,000 less than what was in the stabilization fund as of at the time of Mayor Rizzo taking office. However, we have approximately $400,000 to $500,000 coming in this year, so our plan is with that money to put that back into the stabilization fund, as the mayor had mentioned. So we'll end up with a positive net figure of about $200,000 more than then. So I know it sounds like a numbers game. It is,
yeah.
But at the same time, we'll be actually in a better shape than we were still 2 years
ago. And then during the JLMC process, was it laid out that in order to pay for this much money or this contract, we would have to go into rainy day fund? I know that is they in JLMC they take financial, right. Indicators and financial ability to pay as a big weighing factor, and that's why Boston had those 5%, because Boston generates a lot more revenue and they can pay people a lot better. But was the case laid out that we would be dipping into our stabilization fund to pay for a certain contract?
We actually told them immediately that if any type of percentage increase would probably be going into our stabilization, we would be going to our stabilization fund. That was one of the first things that was mentioned, and they understood that, and they just knew that was going to happen. They also had other ideas in their mind. There was a flurry of information. It was, I think, between myself and our attorney, Paul Mulkern, we had 2 boxes of financial information that we gave them. So we had to carry back and forth into court, into the hearings, and the fire department had their boxes of information too. So it was it was a good negotiations. Everybody acted professionally, which was great, and they realized that was the case. One of the other things too is, they were looking forward to the future of the city. They took that into account. They took into account, believe it or not, the possibility of a casino coming in, which I argued that, well, we don't know if we have that or not, and they took that into account. But again, I think the agreement, the city has some wins in this agreement, the fire department has some wins in this agreement, and I think that, as far as the mayor said, again, it's about 2.5, 2.6% each year. So looking at it, and it ended up that way because if you notice, the last 3 years is the same as what the policeman got.
Okay. And one last question. Right. Do we have any idea what going into have you thought about the impact on our bond rating and what the bond rating agencies will look at when we dip back into this rainy day fund? I only say that because I know our bond rating was approved at A status and or AAA, but I wonder in their summary they mention going into a rainy day our reliance on reserves, and they mention the casino potential. but I wonder if that is a indicator to the rating agency that might be a red flag.
Well, of course, they're going to look at that, and that they may be a red flag. However, what they have to realize, and which they do realize, we had a judgment against us, and the city paid it. We didn't go into deficit. We didn't bond. We went into an account that we had a reserve for because our actions have been conservative. And speaking of rating agencies, I've had a conference call with Standard & Poor's on, I had one on Wednesday, and I mentioned this agreement to them. I mentioned the going into the stabilization fund at the time, and what we plan to do and what our plans are for the future and what also the plans of the city are, and along with the mayor. And we expressed ourselves in such a fashion that the analyst at the time, at the end of it, said that it wasn't really a full-blown analysis by the analyst, but it's sort of an up-to-date one. So what happens, she said, I don't see any negatives. So to me, that's a positive. She didn't see any negatives, that's a positive. And let me tell you something, these analysts dig out all the information they can, and they come up with these numbers, and you start saying, well, how do they find that number? But they do, and that's good, but you have to be prepared for that, and we were.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, we spent a lot more time than I expected on this, and I want it wrapped up quickly. I'm going to call on Arthur Councilor Guanasso,
I'm going to try to wrap this up quickly.
Then I'm going to give Councilor Janino a second chance here.
I am going to try to wrap this up very quickly.
Thank you.
As a member of the subcommittee on Ways and Means, I essentially have heard everything that I'm going to hear again on Monday to make a conscientious decision. And truth of the matter being, as we just had the financial director before us stating the fact that we do have to go into the rainy day fund, we do have to make our commitment, and we have a charge against us from the arbitration award that is telling us and dictating to us that this is what we must do. Bearing in mind, this body can overrule any of our laws of order in our rules of regulations.
I beg to differ with you. We can't overrule ordinances. We cannot overrule ordinances.
I didn't know this was an ordinance. I thought this was a rules of order.
This was an ordinance that was put in by me as part of the pension reform. And this is an ordinance in place. It's going to Ways and Means. That's where it's going. I'm going to allow Councilor Janino to speak, and then it's going to Ways and Means.
Well, I would suggest, Mr. President, all due respect, that the latest being this Monday, if we're not having a meeting Monday.
We will have a meeting Monday. I guaranteed Councilor Hastad, I guaranteed the firefighters that we would have a meeting quickly, and that's what we're going to do. Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to speak, and I assure you that I don't waste my breath up here unless I truly feel that it's a necessary question or concern.
Nobody accused you of wasting your breath, madam.
Thank you. I have one quick question of clarification, Mr. Anzoni, that you might be able to help me with. I've heard three figures. I've heard 1.2, I've heard 1.6, and I've heard 2 million. So just for the clarification of us and for the people at home, what's the final figure that we're looking at? And thank you very much.
The final figure for the raise for the 5-year period is about $2.4 million. Okay, the $2 million you heard was going to be the retroactive portion, which I'm also including up to the end of this fiscal year, because we need that money to pay it. It's not in the budget. So that retroactive raise will be retroactive from when we start with putting it on the payroll once you pass this to back according to the agreement, and then the portion that goes forward from there to June 30th. So that is a $2 million. Okay.
Ways and Means.
Calendar item number 7, motion presented by Councilor Janino, that the mayor request the DPW to investigate the water drainage issues on Fenno Street at the corner of Borden Street. Due to the lack of proper drainage, water pools form year-round, and during the winter months, the pools freeze, causing dangerous conditions.
Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is an issue that I noticed several months ago, but I assumed it was just a normal drainage issue, but it's gotten significantly worse, and over the winter months, the water in that area is freezing, and I've had to call the DPW several times to have them plow it, and I'm very lucky that they always come right away, which is great, because the whole road freezes, and it's really, really dangerous. So I hope that we can figure out what's causing the problem instead of fixing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Janino. Councilor Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've actually had a discussion recently with this and other problems on Ward 4 with the same type of issue. Just for everybody's information, there's a couple of different problems. First of all, there's a lot of water, as we all know, given our $50 million consent decree, seeping into our drainage system, and that is affecting that particular area, as well as another area that's particularly egregious on Ridge Road, which the DPW has to treat periodically with salt to melt. But the other problem is that there are quite a few springs on the what I'll call the Reservoir Avenue Hill, and a lot of the spring water seeps down the hill. Apparently, some construction up there at one point was responsible for changing the direction and diverting some of the springs. I've asked the DPW, the head of DPW, to sit down with me this spring while we're redoing our pipes, our drain water pipes, and hopefully come up with a solution that while we're remediating the rest of our drainage system, and I'm hoping that that will be done at least to some extent this summer, but certainly within the confines of the extent of the consent decree over the next several years. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Reardon. I had a discussion with the Superintendent of Public Works today. It is a spring. He does intend to divert this into drainage in the springtime. And it has exactly what Councilor Reardon said is what has occurred. When there was some construction up there, they diverted some of these natural springs, and they're causing this disaster. Unfortunately, there's not much they can do for it in the winter, but he intends to do it first thing in the spring to deal with this situation. He's well aware of it. He had so much knowledge, I had to walk away from him, and he was going on and on about it. So that's the story. So on the motion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted.
Calendar item number 8, motion presented by Councilor Morabito that the following proposed ordinance amendment be ordered to a public hearing. An ordinance amending Title 8, Chapter 8.36, Sale of Tobacco Products. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Revere as follows. Section 1, Title 8, Chapter 8.36, Sale of Tobacco Products is hereby amended by deleting the word 18 in all instances and inserting in place thereof the word 19. Section 2, this amendment shall take effect on June 1st, 2014.
Councilor Morabito.
Yes, I made another amendment to this ordinance. Madam Clerk, if you can read it.
Councilor Morabito has submitted an amendment prior to it going to public hearing, and it reads as follows. An ordinance amending Title 8, Chapter 8.36, Sale of Tobacco Products, Section 1. It's hereby amended by deleting the word 18 in all instances and inserting in place thereof the word 19. This amendment shall take effect on June 1st, 2014 through June 1st, 2015. Section 2, Title 8, Chapter 8.36, Sale of Tobacco Products is hereby amended by deleting the word 19 in all instances and inserting in place thereof the word 20. This amendment shall take effect from June 1st, 2015 through June 1st, 2016. Section 3, Title 8, Chapter 8.36, Sale of Tobacco Products is hereby amended by deleting the word 20 in all instances and inserting in place thereof the word 21. This amendment shall take effect on June 1st, 2016. And Section 4, Title 8, Chapter 8.36, Section 8.36040 is hereby amended by changing the title of this section to age verification from sales to minors.
Councilor Morabito.
Yes, the reason I made an amendment to this motion, as you know, we're well educated and tobacco and nicotine kills. This motion protects our young people from being addicted to a killer, and it prevents people from early death. Recently, a handful of cities among the Commonwealth have changed and increased the age limit for tobacco sales. Needham was the first city in Massachusetts to do it in 2005. They implemented that in 2000. They started the implementation in 2006. From 2006 to 2010, their smoking rate among high school students dropped 50%. I don't know if all of you are aware, but each year, the Revere Public Schools administers a youth risk and behavior survey to middle and high school students. In comparison to statewide statistics, we have a 9% higher smoking rate than the state. Delaying the onset of tobacco users among young people will immediately affect the long-term public health and safety benefits for the better. And this is why I feel this should go to public hearing.
Thank you, Councilor Morabito. Anybody else? Okay, this is going to a public hearing.
We have a late motion presented by Councilor Novoselsky that the mayor request the Traffic Commission to amend the Revere revised ordinances, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule 11, to remove the handicap placard signs at 59 and 69 Campbell Ave. The residents at this location have moved. Upon approval of the Traffic Commission, the DPW shall remove the signs and poles.
Councilor Novoselsky.
Speaks for itself, Mr. President.
Thank you. All in favor, all opposed? So voted.
A late communication from the city clerk relative to local official bond approvals for various city hall employees. Those employees are Vorlek Che, Karen Dusevich, and Denise Masiello Stasio.
On the bond approvals for the employees, all in favor, all opposed? So voted. No further business. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? We're adjourned until the 10th.